Hey everybody, it's Joe from greenlightsound.com, and in today's video we're going to take a look at a new channel strip plugin from PSP, the PSP InfiniStrip, and we're going to stack it up against two other plugins that follow a similar model of sort of 500 series layout module-based channel strip processing, and that is McDSP 6060 Ultimate Channel Strip and Slate Digital's Virtual Mix Rack, or VMR. So here I have the kick track processing I used on the PSP InfiniStrip. I'm not really going to go into a lot of detail about how InfiniStrip actually works, but I'll just show you some of the cool things that it does have as a feature. You've got preamp, filters, compressors, 3 different kinds, EQs, 3 different kinds, a couple of gates, a couple of limiters, a master control, a de-esser, a de-hummer, and I think there's a gain in there as well. And I think that covers all the different modules you have. There are certain slots for certain modules. So there's the gates, and then I can drag them around. Now, some people would complain that I can't just choose whatever module and whatever slot I want, but I actually find this a little bit easier. If I want a gate, I just go over to the gate here, pick it. Limiter, go over to limiter here, pick it, rather than have a drop-down menu that has every single module possible, which takes a little bit longer to scroll through. This actually works a little bit easier for me. And of course, once you pick it, you can swap it around to whatever order you want it to be in. We've got different preamps. We've got a 60s preamp, which I'm using on this track. We've got a 70s, looks like it's based on a Neve, an 80s, possibly SSL, and then a 90s ADC converter type preamp. The nice thing about this is when I filter through the different preamps or the different compressors or EQs, it keeps the same settings. So if I dial in some settings in the FET compressor and I want to see what it sounds like with similar settings on the VCA or the opto compressor, I can easily do that. It'll keep the same settings going between. That's really helpful. I can mute one processor, I can solo one processor. Some really cool features. There's presets for each module and overall presets as well for the entire channel strip. I'm not going to go through all the processing I did here. I'm just going to show you what these 3 mixes sound like. I've got down here the InfiniStrip mix, the McDSP mix, and the Slate VMR mix. I didn't try to match settings exactly. I try to do similar processing using the modules that are available. Now, the PSP InfiniStrip has a certain set of modules. The McDSP 6060 has a different set of modules. There's some tape emulation that's not in the PSP plugin, a bass optimizer, and a few other modules that don't exist within the InfiniStrip. And if I take a look at Slate's VMR, most of the modules in Slate's VMR are based on actual analog gear, so you'll have a few things that don't exist, again, within the InfiniStrip, so I tried to match as best I could. And then on the other hand, InfiniStrip has a few items like the master control with a width control that the VMR and the McDSP don't have. So here we go, our first listen to the InfiniStrip mix. This is a jazz trio. We've got a drum overhead track, a kick track, a bass, upright bass, DI track, and a saxophone, and that is it. Oh, and one other thing, the only thing that is not one of these 3 plugins, I've got auto align between the kick and the drum overheads just to get them phase aligned, and a little bit of reverb on the whole band through Illusion. If you don't know this plugin, Liquid Sonics Illusion, it's a great reverb. So here it is, the InfiniStrip mix. I'll move on to the McDSP 6060 mix. And finally, the Slate VMR mix. One of the things I noticed is how each different channel strip sort of treats each instrument differently. There's some tonal differences with each instrument. Some are brought more forward. I'm not changing the balance when I'm doing the processing. I'm trying to level match to each one's mix. So it's the processing itself that's changing how far forward some instruments are in the mix. Now I'm going to play the same section, but just toggle through all three. And if you look down here on the left, I'm going to solo each one. You'll see which one it is. Start with the InfiniStrip again. So what I was going for in this mix is kind of that late 50s, early 60s small group jazz vibe. So I wanted things really up front and kind of saturated sounding. I'm going to do the same thing, scroll through all three, but this time I want to jump to a drum solo section so we can hear what that sounds like. And again, I'll start with the InfiniStrip. So there we have it, the PSP InfiniStrip, and how it stacks up against some similar processing options in the McDSP 6060 and the Slate Digital VMR. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Which one did you like best? If you tried them, which one works for you best? What do you think sounds best? I'm interested to hear what you have to think about these as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so we can keep in the loop about what's coming up next, and I'll see you in the next one.